Hello, my name's host Eric, and I want to talk about transitional adulthood, or a period of young adulthood where you're out of high school, but before the age at which one normally graduates from college. So between about 18 and about 25. For me, this was a really difficult time period in my life. I had, hold on, yeah, I know, totally. Um, I was in college. I was pretty much miserable my freshman year. I was very depressed. I had no friends. I it didn't get a whole hell of a lot better. When I got back to LA after college, I mean, it got better in college somewhat. It did get a lot better. I came back to LA after freshman year, and I went back again eventually to finish. I never felt particularly happy there, but I wasn't miserable thereafter, and I found it very difficult to figure out women. I was scared to death of them, basically, and I just found the whole relationship thing both a pressing concern, like something I needed to deal with because of a variety of reasons. Like a lot of like insecurities, but also I think a legitimate desire to be in a relationship. That was of great importance to me at the time, and it was something that caused me a great deal of distress. I I was really, really desperate to prove myself, but didn't really know what to prove myself at. Had a sort of learned apathy that nothing really mattered because of school. I think like all the shit they tell you is all bullshit anyway. Like that kind of attitude, and um, I knew I wanted to be creative in some way. I knew I had music and like writing and stuff, but I didn't. All I felt was a combination of either what I'm doing isn't good enough, or at best, um, that maybe like, well, nobody would appreciate it, or something like that. I don't know, that kind of stuff. So that's my experience of that young adulthood period. Was one of great tumult, confusion, difficulty figuring out what to do and how to do it in lots of different areas. And I suspect that ENTP young adulthood is can be particularly challenging depending on the set of variables you have. But I'm curious to hear from your guys' perspective. Callum, well, sorry to hear that. I know that you're not alone. That I had the same experience, and I'm happy now. I'm really happy now. So it's not permanent. I ended up getting married to the wrong woman, but for the right reason, which is I wanted her to bear a child for me, and she left. She left shortly thereafter, so it ended up working out fine. So, but anyway, tell me about your guys' experience. I, I want to hear what it's actually like for somebody who's experiencing that right now. And it may be good for you. It may not be anything like I'm describing. It was miserable for me. It doesn't mean it's miserable for you. Lorenz Walker,
Yes.
voice your truths. Voice your truths with
Okay.
passion and glory.
Well, my experience is I'm 19. I am very apathetic. Um, I don't really care for relationships right now. I've got over that. I need to work on myself and develop myself before I get into any commitment with another person. And what else? I know what I want to do, but I don't have the internal motivation or self-drive to get that going.
Right. Well, I mean, I had a lot of that too, and a lot of ENTPs do. I know Trenton would identify with that as well. There's a great deal of difficulty to start working and progressing on something knowing both the scope of the thing in front of you, the uncertainty of outcomes, and the necessity of doing stuff other than figuring shit out.
There's more than figuring stuff out.
Right. Well, remember, you're the current path evaluators. You're in the path analogy. You guys, what you really want to do is consider the path. Make sure it's the right path, and consider other possible ways you could change the path to make it a better path. And imagine how, if it were the perfect path, it would look like this, and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
You're the path musers.
Yeah.
It's like I'm modeling and planning out my perfect path without putting it into that path.
Yep.
Currently.
So what happens when you got SE in the 7th? You know, and then imagine somebody like JC, who's an SE Dom, but she doesn't express that she's super on top of her shit or whatever, but she's probably not expressing as much sense of angst about it as you, probably because some of the things that she's doing, like going out to lunch with friends and stuff, she considers wholly satisfying experiences that don't require any additional justification. I suspect that's one of the differences. I don't mean to speak for her. I don't know if that's the case for sure. I haven't actually asked her this question and got an answer on it. But that'd be my guess about an ESFP that I've been interacting with lately as a comparison. Anybody else want to add some things here for the age range? Callum, you mentioned that you are not having the best experience as well. Are you in college, or are you probably are home for summer if you are, or how far along are you in that process? Oh, you're in one of those states. You play video games? Which video games do you play? You play League of Legends? I hear a lot of young people play League of Legends.
Is that Callum?
Yeah. Fallout 4. Well, I don't know what that game's like because I don't play that many games, but I used to play a lot of games. I used to play shitloads of games. I used to play games in all my spare time. Right. You're INTP, Callum, or ENTP? Yeah, you need to, what makes you think you're ENTP now? It's being a teen.
Eric,
Yeah.
I would like to add that I think in my situation, a lot of it is that I don't have external factors that are really pressing against me, so I'm not forced into action like I would probably normally be.
Right. That's an important thing to consider as well. To the extent to which your current circumstances allow you to get away with not being very productive, you probably will choose not to be.
Yeah.
I think you need to find something that gives you quick results without a big plan. You want to do little things. Got to learn to bait people into cornering you. Interesting distinction. So Mega Bro is here in the house, and if he has any topic he'd like to talk about, I'd like him to let me know. And right now we're currently talking about, I'd like to finish this video up here about young adulthood, which I think is a very interesting topic because I do have a lot of people who participate in this who are in their college years. My friend David was here yesterday, and he's in his college years. And then I have some people who are a little further along in their journey, like Mega Bro here. But because I have that age range a lot in here, I'm curious about it, and I tend to wonder if they are experiencing experiences like my own, because I know I had a difficult time with that life period. Nani, do you want to talk at all about your rejection of intoxicants and stuff like that, and what kind of like what? Because I don't think that correlates exactly with Lawrence Walker's experience, but I'd like to hear what your thinking is there.
I get free weed.
Well, I don't know. I've never really had any urge to try drugs. I'd seen the negative effects they have. At least tobacco and stuff. I've heard marijuana is different, and I did a little bit of research. But that would be something I'd be okay with trying at some point, I guess. But not really.
I wouldn't encourage it. I want to stress, I'm not encouraging it, nor would I encourage it. I think it's a bad idea to start doing drugs if you haven't done them yet. Especially whatever drugs you haven't done yet, don't do new drugs. No reason to. You haven't done any yet, then don't really start doing them. They are time consuming and money consuming, and the rewards are questionable value. Right. So, but tell me more about it. I'm sorry to have interrupted.
No, you're fine. Yeah, I've just never really had any urge to try any of that stuff. I didn't really hang out with any friends that did it. I discovered recently that almost all of my friends are NTs. I have an INTP best friend. I know 2 or 3 INTJs, 2 or 3 INT or ENTPs. I think one of them might be an INTP, though I'm not really sure. But yeah, I've been around NTs my whole life, and they haven't really at least the ones that I was with haven't done any of that. And also I'm in a city that doesn't really do drugs. I don't know if that makes any sense.
It makes sense.
A lot of the people there don't really do a lot of that stuff. The people are older and more conservative, Tallahassee. So it's small. It's relatively smaller and a lot more chill, I guess, than California.
Well, I think it's great. I think there's no reason to be doing drugs. I think they are ultimately misleading in every regard. But for those of us who've gone a certain distance down that path, then we compare against a different standard, right? For me, I'm comparing against a much worse kinds of addictions. So I just am okay, well, I'm cool. But for you, you're not comparing against well, let's say it's between smoking some weed and being a meth addict. You're between I don't do drugs, which is great, and doing drugs, which is why would you start doing that? I don't know. So you may hear plenty of people in life advocate in favor of drugs. I'm not one of them. I do advocate, of course, that it is a birthright, as somebody said there, that there's no reason anybody should be arrested for it, that nobody has a justification to coerce others over it. I believe that 100%. But that doesn't mean I think that doing drugs is good. And these are not good at all. These are bad.
When I first came on the show, I was really surprised to see you smoking pot. So I was what is this? Is this allowed? I was aren't you gonna get arrested or something? Somebody can see videos eventually, and this is really bad. Why am I on here? But then I thought it through. I was it's not that big a deal. Okay, chill out, Nandi. It's just weed. like it's legalized in some states. It's okay,
Right.
and I'm not the one doing it, so I'm not gonna get in trouble. Hopefully.
Yeah, of course you are.
But yeah, now it's not that big deal. 'Cause, like, I guess I've seen you do it enough, and like the stigma is kind of like simmering down in my head. Because like weed's not bad comparatively to tobacco and alcohol. Like it's still bad, of course, because it's like a drug, but
Right. Well,
it's all right.
yeah. It does have actual medical purposes, which is for me.
Yeah.
It's basically like something I do to treat alcoholism. So, it works for me. Regardless, Mega Bros here, and if there's anything else that the young folks here, my ex-wife made a joke at dinner the other night saying, "Don't you have any friends your own age, Eric?" But of course, I do have friends my own age. I totally do. I just have a lot of younger friends as well. So, I feel no need to apologize for it. And I like hanging out with young people in general. That's why I'm a teacher, I guess, or a coach, or whatever. And so anyway, Mega Bro's here. Let's end this video and let's talk to Mega Bro. If he has any topic he'd either like to talk with me about, or if he'd like to hear me talk about it. If he doesn't feel like talking, it's up to him, of course. Then we'll see what that does. Thanks for watching. Remember the cheese, all that sort of stuff.